It was funny to see. I can remember catching the set. You've seen it so many times when you sort of somebody's on the rise and then they get to the top and then the media turns. You know, it says, okay, now we can't build them up anymore. Let's tear them down. And you know, I mean, you've seen it with Michael Jackson and Madonna, for heaven's sake. You know, you see it with Michael Moore, and you watch a thing like Michael's film because Michael's a friend. You know him, and you follow his career with a certain extra interest because this is a guy you ate hot dogs with at Angelo's. You know, and it was very funny, and it was before the Flint premiere, and I remember reading a specific article. And it was, I think, Associated Press. It was printed in the Free Press. And I read the article and said, oh, you know, the wind has changed, you know. It was funny because there is a certain dynamic. And I don't mean, you know, like I'm not a media basher in sense of all the media is this and that and the other thing. But there's a dynamic at work. It's got to do with what's the story, what's news. And after you've written 10 stories about how great Michael Moore is, that's not news anymore. And the news becomes how rotten Michael Moore is. And it happens to almost every celebrity. You know, you must have seen that process where somebody it's a wonderful discovery and everyone is delighted to be the one to discover this new star or director or writer. And then when he's been discovered by everybody, then you become the one to attack him.
Well, I don't think the media... I mean, it's natural to question things in the media. That's why we're here. That's why we're watchdogs and whatnot. And if something, you know, if a celebrity gets to a certain point, you know, or there's a controversial movie or a program or something like that, I think people are going to look into it. I think it's a natural thing. And I think that's part of what came about with Michael was I mean, it was, you could almost foresee it, but as far as it being orchestrated, like newspaper editors sat around thinking, well, we're going to mount this campaign. I don't think that was, I don't think you could say that at all.
I don't believe that. You know, when you talk about the media, you know, sort of pack journalism and that sort of thing, I don't think it's orchestrated. People go to the same bar, they hang around the same places, they read the same magazines, they draw the same conclusions. I think it's much more organic than you know, a process where 5 guys got together and said, okay, let's take this sucker down, you know. But I think there is a certain institutional dynamic, if you will, that, you know, sort of builds them up, and once they're up, takes them down, you know, just for the news value of it. Have you seen it? Haven't you seen that before? Oh
yeah, you've seen a lot of things. I mean, you can see it in almost everything. I mean, any major story. I mean, Watergate began with 1 newspaper and 2 reporters, and it spread all over the place. So, I mean, it's kind of a natural thing. But you know, what is natural news gathering, and what is vendetta or anything like that? Well, I think there's a pretty wide gulf between the two. I mean, I don't think people, when dealing with Roger and me, had access to grind. Maybe GM did, but GM kept pretty quiet through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I see what you mean about the media, but I don't completely agree with you in terms of the media's motives.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even talking motives. Motives is a separate issue. I'm talking sort of an institutional inertia. You know, that the story, you want to talk about someone. You know, for example, you want to talk about Janet Jackson. Because why? People want to read about Janet Jackson, right? And after you've written 10 stories about how great Janet Jackson is, there's no new story about how great she is, so you start to write about how lousy she is. And that just sort of, it's just, you have to write another story because the audience wants to read another story. It's kind of like, you know, the tabloid newspapers that will write, okay, lousy news about sort of any star, but the idea is to get the picture on the front cover because people are going to, you know, if they see whoever the popular star is right now, Kim Basinger, say, and if you can get Kim Basinger having an affair with Prince, that's great because people want to read about Kim and they want to read about Prince. So you can sell newspapers.
Yeah, that's been the way entertainment reporting has been for years and years and years. I mean, they're becoming personalities. And if something happens in their lives that's controversial, and the media finds out about it, well, yeah, I mean, that is going to come out.
Yeah.